President HR for Delhivery, to come in and talk to us about managing change. So Calvin and Ramesh, everyone, can you please welcome them with a huge round of applause? Cheers and whistles are welcome as well.
Hello.
Awesome. Guys, can you hear me fine? Yes, no? Yes, now? Okay, awesome. Look, thank you for joining. I can hear a lot of background noise, but hopefully you can hear this loud and clear. Let me start by welcoming Calvin Lyngdoh, who's the Vice President HR at Delhivery.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Quick show of hands. Who's heard of Delhivery?
Thank you. What do we do?
So, Calvin, I always feel like the people that know Delhivery as an organization, they know how amazing an organization you are and how you're such a poster boy for e-commerce. But I also run into people that don't really know much about the company. Why is that? You've been a little media shy as a company, I think.
Yeah, so I think it's very deliberate. We're a very, very quiet company, but there'll be a lot of noise towards maybe in the next few months or so. We let the market and we let the customers speak for themselves. We do not go from the rooftop and shout out loud, but we basically want our work to be noticed. We want our products to be experienced, and we also want to know that the organization that people work for is a great place to work for us. So we are deliberately quiet. We will be quiet, but I hope our products and services will talk about us as an organization.
So, towards the end of this talk, I'm going to give you guys a little tip that's going to be really valuable going forward, so stay tuned for that. Calvin, I heard a stat that more than 1/3 of all e-commerce shipments in India are handled by Delhivery. Is that true? And can you tell us a little bit about the size and complexity of the company?
Yeah, so you're right. I think and e-commerce is just but one part of our business, okay? So we are a fully integrated supply chain organization where we have fulfillment services, we have transportation, we have last mile, B2B as well as B2C. 1 in 3 shipments that's being delivered in the e-commerce space has been delivered by somebody from Delhivery. So that's the size that we're talking about. We currently are a 22,000 strong organization. We have 7,000 people on rolls and we have close to 15,000 people off rolls. We're hiring close to 100 people every day off rolls, and we're hiring 50 people who are joining us every day on rolls. So the complexity, the size is fairly large. We are present in 1,500 plus cities across the country. We are present in 15,000 PIN codes across the entire country. And the geographical spread of our entities as well as our employees across the organization is what makes us sort of ensure that we are able to drive the message and the communication for us as an organization.
Amazing. I didn't know we had 15,000 PIN codes in India.
There are more PIN codes. We haven't touched all of them as yet.
Awesome. And tell me, you're growing at a crazy speed. Like with so many employees managing 44% growth year on year. How do you do it? What are some of the challenges your business has been facing as a result of this crazy growth?
Well, I have my colleague over here, Pranay. We wake up in the morning. We don't know what's going to hit us. We will be very well prepared the evening before. We have all our systems in place. We have all our manpower planning in place. We have all our people on the ground, but something or other happens. So the first part is obviously bringing people on board, right? Ensuring that you're bringing close to 150 people every day joining us, managing the entire process, managing the induction. The moment they come to the organization, how do we engage? How do we connect? How do we communicate with this huge set of people across the entire country? So complexity arises at every stage of the HR life cycle. But I'm glad that at least we have very good platforms. We have good people in my team. They're what makes Delhivery what it is right now. And we can even get much, much better than what we are now.
Got it. And I know you made a big decision to standardize on a communication and collaboration platform, which is Workplace by Facebook. Curious to know, like, what are some of the things you heard from your employees, and what made you take the decision to standardize on a modern platform?
The Workplace is a good story for us. We tried Workplace, it was called Facebook at Work, around a year back. We did not engage further because there was a cost problem. there was no return on investment because we said, why should we get a platform which costed us a lot of money? We are a large organization. What's the returns on investment? But we tried Facebook at Work for around 2 months. And we immediately disconnected. And we didn't have Facebook at Work for around 6 or 7 months. When I joined, there was a lot of noise that Calvin, you just joined in. It's important for us to connect and to engage and to communicate again because we're fairly distributed. The people on the field need to know what's going on in the organization. The leadership team wants to reach out. The regional directors or the regional leadership team want to reach out, but they find it very difficult. So there was a lot of pull internally from the employees who've experienced Facebook at Work. They say, hey, Calvin, you've come here, make a mark, try and talk to the leadership team. Spoke to the leadership team guys. They said, hey, you know what? It's not making sense. I have other platforms available in the market. We can create our own social platform. It's not too difficult. But there was no traction. And I sat on with Sahil, he's a founder and a CEO, and said, you know what, Sahil, there's a lot of noise coming in right now, and we believe in people first. And it's important for us to communicate, engage, and connect. He said, sure, let me give it a shot. So we gave it a shot. We've been very hard with the workplace guys on what we want. But when we plugged in, it's within the first week or 2 weeks, we just fully, we're out there right now. So workplace for me, and I'm not saying here because I'm sitting and talking to you, we had an intent to communicate, to engage, to recognize, to celebrate as a platform for all of these. But it's turned out to be something that's very, very different for us. It's become a core organization platform beyond communication, right? So a very small part. We made, today's August 1st. In our cycle, we announced our promotions on August 1st. We've announced promotions across the organization at workplace. So it takes precedence over the official emails right now. Why? Because people recognize, people will celebrate. So that's one small piece, but I can share more.
And you've got some really interesting groups on Workplace. You mentioned Ask Me Anything, Road Safety. Take us a little bit through those.
Yeah, so what's good is we have close to, for a population of 22,000 folks, right? And 7,000 people who are part of the Workplace platform. We have close to 400 groups, very active groups. So there could be the functional groups, the vertical groups. But then we have these very interesting interest groups. So you have these, so I'm part of the photography group, right? The photography club. They're the bikers club of delivery. There's a women at delivery, there's a moms at delivery. And there's a very interesting group which gets very active on Thursdays and Fridays. It's, Machan after work. Machan is a drinking joint, right? Come 7 p.m. Thursday, Friday, that's the most active group that we have. But it makes a lot of sense for us. So it makes sense for the folks in Gurgaon, but in Bangalore, Bombay, Hyderabad, you all have your drinking joints. Those are the good groups to hang out with. I personally hang out with the photography group very much. Yeah.
So I'm not an employee of Delhivery, but would love to get access to the Machan group in particular.
Yeah, it's a tough group to get into. The very strong criteria.
Awesome. Let's ask you a few questions about you yourself as an HR professional, because a lot of HR folks in the room here. Tell me, you worked with Cadbury's, Nokia, Kimberly-Clark, so big, successful multinationals, and then took a big jump and moved into the startup world. What drove that for you personally?
Personally, is the fear of missing out. Simple as that, right? You reach a certain stage in your life, you're very comfortable with a very large, static organizations, if I may say so. You need a bit of a roller coaster, so I took the plunge. It's been a crazy ride. It's been exciting. It has its highs and lows. There are more highs and there are more lows. You need to have the appetite for it. Okay, so a lot of people get very excited. It's been a very, very good ride, and I will be here, I think, for a long time to come.
Awesome. And what's your de-stress mechanism? How do you manage your stress?
My kids, family.
I thought the kids are the cause of stress.
No. At the end of the day, if I find them awake when I reach home, they're beautiful. I love photography. So when I photograph, I do my post-processing. But the best de-stress, of course, is Netflix, right? So you just binge watch. You're there from 11 to 12 or 12 to 1.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Tell me, one of the things I'm personally very passionate about is in a country like India, if you've seen especially the movie Hindi medium, for too long, knowledge of English was your ticket to success. And as a company, our mission is really how do we build communities and how do we give every person a voice, irrespective of the language they speak. And if I look at your employees, a lot of frontline employees, and we work with other organizations. We work with Ginger Hotels, where every cook and front office staff and cleaner has got a voice in the organization thanks to Workplace. How do you see that panning out? At what point do you see that every delivery person in the company will be connected and will have a voice within the company?
So being vernacular and being as local as possible it's a big challenge, but it is a challenge that once you overcome will really bring returns as far as business is concerned, right? Communication for us, since we have a huge workforce, so the north, west, east, and south is very, very different. You want to communicate on incentives. You want to communicate on processes we want to launch. You want to communicate on training. We have a team who makes sure that every piece of communication gets as local as possible. How does that translate to us? I think it builds a stronger connect for the employees on the ground. They know that we care because we care. We can communicate in the language that they understand very, very clearly. But of course, we still have miles to go before we actually become very hyper-local in the way we get in touch with employees on the ground.
So it is things like this that as a company motivates us to, for example, support language translation.
Yeah.
So we support over 80 languages. So if you've got an employee that only speaks Bengali, they can post on Workplace in Bengali and you can read that in English. And you can reply in English and they can read your reply in Bengali. And one story that personally I love a lot, we did this experiment with Store King, where we connected their frontline employees in Karnataka, rural Karnataka. And we expected that they would start posting in Kannada. But what we found is the power of visual communications. When these people would get a product that was broken, they would actually do a selfie video, opening the product, showing that it was broken, and helping headquarters understand that the product that was delivered was broken and needed to be replaced. And so we saw that even though there was a power of language, people resorted to visual cues like pictures and video to get their points across, which was pretty amazing.
So, when you're talking just now, we have not actually used your translation services. I don't think we've posted anything right now on the vernacular. We've not. And do you have that at Workplace? I'm curious to know now.
Say that again?
Do you have the vernacular?
Yes, we do. Yeah, we support over 30 Indian languages.
Guys, I admit, I have the platform, but I didn't know you supported
Including
30
Malayalam,
languages.
Telugu, Tamil, Punjabi, Bengali.
And we have
all
been
of those.
challenged in communicating a lot. So we were trying to get translators through our own platform, through our own network. So guys, this is a good conversation for me.
Amazing. Now tell me a little secret about you, about Delhivery. You guys are really, I heard from a little birdie that you guys are really close to an IPO. Tell us a little bit about that. I'm so impressed by the growth of the company. I can tell you, when an IPO comes out, you've got my money for sure.
That's a tough question to answer. I think it's in the news. I don't want to comment. Yeah.
Now we know you won't be leaving in a hurry, even if you wanted to.
Yeah, so I'd leave it to the press. Yeah.
And last couple of questions. Tell us, what is the fun thing about you that many people don't know?
There are very many fun things, very naughty things. Which one do you want to know? When I was in college, I always wanted to be part of a rock band, but I wasn't that good at it. So I kept long hair and I had an earring. I still didn't make it to the band. I tried my best. They still didn't allow me to play the guitar. And I requested, and he said, we'll make you the manager of the rock band. So I was the manager of the rock band. To my credit, we participated in all the festivals across IIT. We came second place in IIT Delhi Rendezvous. So that's the only feather in my cap. That's my fun fact.
That's amazing. So I have a similar story as well, although I don't have the long hair that goes with it. But I couldn't play music, but we started a recording studio when we were in college. And
We should have met.
made
We
a
should
good
have met
amount of
then.
money.
Yeah.
But then one of the guys who was one of our hostel buddies ran away with the money so that he could pay for his tuition. So we didn't hold it against him. He's still a great friend. Look, thank you so much, Calvin. It's been great. Thank you for the conversation.
Yeah.
Just going to quickly see if there's a couple of questions that people in the audience have. Any questions for Calvin, folks?
No questions. I guess one piece I want to add from my side We had purely intended workplace to be communication, recognition, engagement, celebration at every stage. People who've been very active has been the CEO, has been the tech team, have been the security teams. But last month, we wanted to raise certain service levels in the organization. And there was a public announcement that, hey guys, across the facilities, we want to ensure that we reach a threshold number. And when we released that, we mentioned a threshold number, which is a stretch number for us to achieve. Over a week, because everything was present on Facebook, right? Everything was present on Workplace. Everybody posted numbers of how far they've achieved. It's amazing, but people have crossed the threshold and they're competing amongst themselves because of the platform. So what for us was intended to be a communication engagement, a celebration, recognition platform has turned out to be a productivity platform. Okay, and I think there's a very good use case for us. The other piece is we have our team leaders spread across 1,500 centers. They don't have a voice. If they send an email to the entire organization, nobody hears them out. But let's say a team leader says, I get my products which are damaged or broken. He posts that at workplace. Everybody sees it. So firstly, the team leader has a voice. And it makes people at the headquarters very accountable. So there is an indirect change in transformation and culture in the way we work, thanks to the platform. So whoever's here, give it a shot.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Calvin. Thank you. Guys, big round of applause for Calvin here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Calvin. Thank you so much, Ramesh. This was such an exciting conversation, so thank you for that. Good. So,